right, guys, welcome to the weekly FFL Limitless Agency call. Today, we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, an absolute queen killer. Call her what you want. She is absolutely amazing. One of the most consistent people in this business. And honestly, anyone can agree to that. We actually talked to Sean the other day, and he was like, dude, like I look at Katelynn's numbers and she just like never stops. She's always just like on top of the leaderboards. If she's, not in the top 20, it's a surprise because you literally always are. So Katelynn, thank you so much for getting on. Everyone's super pumped to hear from you. Why don't you go ahead and tell us how you got started with Family First or how you found us?
Yeah, thank you, Nina, for having me. I've been with Family First Life for about 2 years now. For anyone who doesn't know my simple story, it really just came down to insurance found me. Bowen had reached out to me on Instagram, and my mindset towards this business at the very beginning was I honestly didn't have anything to lose. My situation at the time wasn't ideal anyways before I got into this business. So I thought, if these people are doing what they say they're doing and they're able to, change their lives, why couldn't I? As a single mom going, to work every single day, barely making ends meet, we were in a really bad position. So like for me, it was like, well, let's see what this could do for me. And I did have that mindset coming in, and I'm so glad I did, because it really did start my business off amazing because I was consistent from the very beginning. Fast forward 2 years now, we have a growing agency, a great culture. And I think that consistency, like you were saying, that's one of the biggest things that I can tell anybody is just at the end of the day, consistency will run your business, because you will always run into, highs and lows in this business. And if you stay consistent, you're always going to come out on top. And that's kind of what I have preached to myself, preached to my agents from the very beginning. So that's a little bit about me and how I got into the business. It's been the best decision I could have ever made in my life for me and my daughter, and it's provided us with amazing things. So yeah.
I love that. So Katelynn, one of the main questions that we get in FFL a lot is, what do you wish is something that you did from like the day that you started? And for me, it took me 9 months to hire my first agent. And I wish I had started recruiting from day one. And people always ask, like, why do you wish you started recruiting from day one? And the answer is always because of you. Like, you changed my whole perspective of recruiting in this business because of your story before coming into FFL. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before and how, like, literally how this has changed yours and your daughter's life.
Yeah. Well, wow. Thanks, Nina. I didn't know it impacted you that much, but that's amazing. I think that like you really have to give people the opportunity, even if you don't think that they necessarily need it, share the opportunity, because there are people out there like, just like me, in a position where like I was, I found myself in a position where I was a single parent, never had thought that that was going to be me, had gone to school, was going to school to be a nurse, was working in a hospital, and I just wasn't making it. And I hated seeing myself always struggle financially and not be able to provide for my daughter. So when I saw this opportunity, my mind was so open to it. It was like, I was like, whatever it's going to take, I'm going to make it work, because I believe in myself, I believe in this business, and I believe that I can do it. So I just went all in with it. And, from the very beginning, that's probably another thing that I would say is that, for a new agent here, like recruiting and sharing the opportunity in the very beginning is really important. And it's something I didn't do right off the bat either. And ultimately it's selfish, because you are thinking like, well, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to do it before I can recruit. But realistically, there are people out there that are just going to figure it out on their own. And it's an opportunity that you can share with them that can change their entire life. So I'm super grateful, forever grateful for this opportunity, forever grateful for all of you that has brought me into this position. And I think that recruiting is super huge and super crucial to sharing it with people that really need the opportunity. And there's a lot of them out there, especially now.
There are an insane amount of people, and we have an insane amount of leads for everyone, which is amazing. Exactly. One thing that I always admired about you, Katelynn, is that you've gone through some hard stuff in this business. You have, between, chargebacks, roll up, so many different things that, where most people, if they were to go through those things, they'd be like, nope, I'm out. but you've always stayed the course and you've always stayed positive and strong no matter what. Talk about your mindset behind that.
Mindset's the biggest part of this business, mental toughness. So I think that just comes from like my life as well. So I've ran into, adversity my whole life. Before this business, my childhood wasn't great. Coming into this business, my life wasn't where I wanted it to be, but I've always been mentally strong enough to overcome it. It's made me better. So when things happen in the business, I just think about everything that I've gone through in my life to overcome it. And it's the same exact thing. It's like, if something matters to you, if it means something to you, you're going to do everything that you can to overcome it. So mentally, you have to be very strong in this business. If you're mentally weak, it will eat you alive, really. So you have to be able to keep yourself positive, keep your mindset on the end goal. Like at the end of the day, like there are sacrifices that are made in this business to get to where you want to go. So if you have your goals very clear in your mind, you have them written down, you look at them every single day, you're going to see exactly what you're doing this for and the things you have to give up to be able to go there. And I have that written down. So I have 2 sections of my goal list. I have what I want ultimately, and the things that I have to give up. Maybe it's a temporary sacrifice, but things I have to give up to get there. And that keeps my mind in the right place because I always think about, what this business has done for me. I'm grateful every single day. It doesn't matter whether or not something like a chargeback email or a roll-up debt email or something negative is not going to affect the overall picture that I have for myself in this business. And ultimately, you do get to a spot in this business where you're so grateful for what it's done for you that nothing will hold you back. You're going to continue to push through it no matter what. And yeah, if you guys are going through that, I mean, it's completely normal. Like this is a business where that will happen, but what other place on planet Earth can you get a profitable business within the first year? I mean, I don't know of any other business like that. So you can overcome anything that, this business is going to throw at you. And it's been absolutely amazing watching myself be able to overcome it because it doesn't only make you stronger for yourself, but you become a better parent, a better leader, a better spouse, a better friend. All of those things happen when you go through adversity in this business. And, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make it work. And I think that's, what's led to a lot of success, especially recently.
That's huge. Well, especially because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're in sales and we're bound to have bad days. But I've always said this, and tell me if you agree. It's like, as long as you're consistent, like you'll have a bad day, 2, 3, maybe 4 days, but you'll never have a bad week and you'll never have a bad month because the numbers are always just going to work in your favor if you're actually putting in the work. So it has.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are able to like look at the numbers and look at the activity, that's always what I've done. Like look at my activity. Like if I put in a little bit more activity here, the numbers will work out every single time. And, when I first started this business, like maybe some of you don't know, but I was really, really bad. I was not good on the phones. I was terrified of the phones. And I felt like I wasn't sure how I was going to overcome all of that. But I kept on looking at the end result and the end goal of what I wanted and found that burning desire beyond money. So at the end of the day, if money is the only desire that you have in this business, at one point you'll stop growing. At one point you won't keep on going because you have to have a burning desire for more. So think about the things that obviously financially what you want for your family, but also the burning desire for impacting other people's lives. So those things have really helped me grow in this business, and activity always wins. If you keep on putting in the activity and you show up every single day, it will be very hard to have a bad month in this business. And if you think about how many things we're consistent with on a daily basis, I mean, we're consistent with a lot of things. Why don't you just add that to your business to it? I mean, that's always what I think about. Like we are consistent with, some people are very consistent with going to the gym. Some people are very consistent with, you cook dinner, you eat lunch, you eat breakfast. Those are consistency things. It's the same thing with your business. Just stay consistent with it and the numbers will always work out.
100%. So Katelynn, you're telling me that when you wake up to an Americo chargeback, you don't get emotional or anything like that, because you know that you have at least 10 appointments lined up for today where you're going to wipe them no matter what.
Yeah, no, when you become emotional in this business, it can really tear you apart. So no, not at all. There has been times when I first started that, yes, that would get to me. Not because of me thinking I couldn't, write that off, but me thinking like, what can I do to improve? And ultimately, after being here for 2 years, it takes more time to sit and watch a video on how you can improve retention or how you can improve this than it does to just go and do it. Just go do more, get a new stack of leads. Like I've always been that person that, and you know this about me, I reinvest in the business.
Yeah.
It's the most simple way to get yourself out of anything. You sell more, you recruit more, you put in more activity. Those 3 things will always get you ahead in this business, no matter what. You leave the emotions out of it. I mean, I know that we're all human. We have emotions. They're there, but if you can compartmentalize those and think about that like true why from within you, then you're going to be able to overcome it. And there's been times in this business, obviously, where I have become emotional and I have to step away from that and really think about like, why am I being emotional when I know that if I put in the numbers, put in the work the next day, it's all going to work out. So the more you do that, the more you're going to realize it. And sometimes it may take a couple months, maybe even a year for you to realize that it will work out, but it definitely will if you stay consistent and you just don't give up.
That's the biggest thing. It's like our emotions, like we're human beings, right? So we're always like this. But like I've always said, like the busier I've been, my emotions are just fine. You know what I mean? Because you don't have time to think about, oh, this person said no, like I don't have any appointments for the rest of the day. No, I'm going to make 1,000 more dials and I'm going to make a sale. Like the busier you are, the more manageable your emotions are. So I love that, Katelynn. Let's talk about Hall of Fame. This is going to be your 3rd year hitting Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's like, I think you might be one of the few females in the company that has done it as many times as you are doing it. So congratulations to you. Tell us a little bit about what a day-to-day looks like in your Hall of Fame schedule.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really enjoy selling as well. So I think that's helped me grow as a person. It's also helped my team grow. My schedule now, because at first I wasn't recruiting as much as I am now. So now my days are Monday through Saturday. Morning times I am helping the team. I'm talking to new agents. Maybe I'm talking to new people, from social media that want to be in the business or want, have questions about the business. That's what I do in the morning. And then from about the hours of 3 to 8 o'clock, I am consistent with selling. So I'm selling. And what I found is that you can still do the same numbers, like half of your day, if you do it every single day, 3 to 8, 3 to 8, 3 to 8, and allowing other people to watch me has really helped my team grow. Like being on Zoom, having them listen to me, having them know that during this time, like if you want to see this, like you're going to be on this Zoom room during this time. That's really, really helped. And, you have to have a strict schedule and you have to stay to it. You cannot like deter from your schedule if you want to be Hall of Fame, if you want to build an agency. It goes back to obviously the consistency thing again, staying consistent with it and having that desire to make sure you hit those goals. Hall of Fame doesn't necessarily mean like, it's not for the money for me. It's more for the fact that ultimately when I'm selling, it's the best way to train somebody and it's the best way for them to learn, is when I'm actually doing it. And I do have, fun with it.
I love that. Tell us a little bit about because you sold solely in person when you first started. So that's what you learned. And I remember everyone starting telesales and you were still doing in person. Talk to us a little bit about your transition from in person to telesales.
So I am super thankful that I started in person. I will say that because it allowed me to understand the sales process of what we were doing. It allowed me to see the type of clientele we were working with, how vulnerable they were, and how they truly just needed help. So when I came into the business, I did all in-home. It worked better for me because I really needed to learn. And like I said, I wasn't very good on the phones. I got scared on the phone. So I would just set an appointment. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to their house and I can take care of it then. And so I would do that for the longest time. And then when everybody was making that transition to virtual, I was still a little hesitant at first. I'll be completely honest. I was hesitant and honestly, it was probably more about me and in my head about what that learning curve was going to look like. And I wasn't ready for it until I realized that I'm growing at a rapid rate. I don't necessarily have like a business that can run on Zoom alone without me. So I was like, with all these new agents, the easiest way for me to train now is going to be to switch over to virtual, get through the learning curve so that I can have 60 people watch me do a presentation versus one person in the house. So that was my main mindset behind it. And it was a sacrifice that I made for the growth of the agency. And it was the best sacrifice I could have made because we've like doubled, tripled since then. So it does make a difference to be able to do that. Now there's major differences between the both of them. Like in home, the credibility is there off the bat. So you don't have to be as patient with yourself. Like you do have your license, your credibility sheets there. You're in person with the client. It makes it a lot easier when the credibility like happens. So that learning curve for me was very difficult at first because I was like, well, I now have to be patient. Now I have to figure out, I can't run an in-home presentation over the phone. I have to, be able to actually explain who I am, have the client understand exactly what we're doing for it to make sense to them when we are doing it virtually. Took me a couple months to really understand that and to really, get back on track with the groove of it. But that's how important consistency is, because during that time to keep my numbers up, guess what I did? More appointments. I talked to more people. I did more, bought more leads. I was more consistent with everything that I was doing to make sure that my numbers didn't fall during that time. Got over that learning curve. And now virtually, I can sell just as much over the phone. And it's allowed our team to grow as well because they can learn from me, and a lot more people can watch me virtually than they can in the home.
I love that. Talk about that learning curve though, like at any point where you like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling. Like, I feel like I'm never going to be able to sell over the phone.
Yeah, there's still times like that. Like there's still times where I'm like, did I forget how to do my job this week?
Yep.
Like, I don't know what's going on. Like I've gone through 10 presentations and I keep getting hung up on, or, I can't get past this part of the presentation. And the way that I do it, and honestly, I have an amazing team of leaders, and I will call some of the people that are leaders on my team, and I'll call them and I'll be like, what am I doing wrong on these presentations? You can hear me, and I get their feedback because I'm not afraid of feedback. I want it from anybody that can give it to me because I want to know what I'm doing wrong. And sometimes it just means going back to the basics, going back to exactly what you need to do. And you're fighting for that family. Like when you get to a certain spot in this business, I see a lot of people that they think that fighting for the family is being pushy. It's not. It's just being honest with them. It's like, can I be honest with you, Nina? Like, if this wasn't in place tomorrow and something happened to you, what would that look like for your family? Like being honest and transparent with that client will really help. And sometimes when that learning curve was happening from in-home to virtual, I was just presenting the same way I did in person, which was a lot easier. Like they could feel my energy then. They could feel that I cared. They knew that I cared. On the phone, I had to explain a little bit more of why I was fighting so hard to make sure that protection was in place. So, that was really, really hard for me during that first 2-month period. But, activity always wins. I just did more.
Yeah, that is huge. Exactly what Carrie just said. That's a great mindset. I want to bring this up. This is actually really funny, but obviously you crush it every single month. You're always on the leaderboards, and people always call me and they're like, what's Katelynn doing? What magic leads is she running? Is she creating her own leads? Like, what is she doing? Katelynn, talk about what leads you run, because I've literally so many people were calling me about this, you guys. And I called corporate and I said, hey, what kind of leads is Katelynn buying? They went into her CRM and they're like, dude, she bought $3,000 of internet leads this week. So talk about that.
Yeah, I get it all the time too. I've gotten it for a very long time. I buy a lot of leads. I do whenever I'm struggling, I buy more leads. I use the ILC. I honestly like them. I like them the most off every other vendor that I've ever tried. And I've tried a couple like happy agent leads, like especially when I first started, I tried those. But the ILC is super duplicatable. Like I can show my agents exactly which ones I'm using. And sometimes it just comes down to like more activity. There isn't a special lead. It's a client. It's a family. It's a first name, last name, date of birth, phone number. It's a family that needs protection. If you have the mindset towards the lead as this is a person I can help versus, oh, this might've been a lead that was filled out 3 months ago, or this person's telling me that it's not it's not them, or you have that mindset, you're going to take that into every single call. So it's like, if you have a abundance of leads, you're never going to have to worry about that. And the ILC has provided that to me. I stalk the ILC. I don't know if you guys do, but I stalk it. Like, I'm on there like 3-4 times a day looking for certain leads that I like. I do like, the instance, I think they're diamonds now. 1 month, 3 month. I like the mortgage mailers that are in there. I know that there's not a ton, but when you can find them, call those people immediately. And it really just comes down to the quantity of leads. Like, quality, it won't always matter, because you can have an $80 lead that's going to tell you no. Well, that's going to hurt a lot more than a $1.50 lead that is still a family that needs protection. So I think it's a mindset thing more than anything. When I get that question, I just straight up ask, I'm like, well, how much are you, spending on leads? Like, how much do you realistically spend on leads? And when I get, oh, maybe $750 a week, it's your problem right there. Let's double it. Hayden actually told me that when I first started the business. He said, if you were to double the amount you spent on leads, you double your production. I listened to him. What happened? Doubled my production. So it's always about investing back in the business. We're not here to be super, super profitable your first year in this business. You're not here to be super rich. You don't need to have that mindset. And I think a lot of people have that mindset when they first come in, like, I need to be making all this money. I need to have this big savings account. That's not the way this works. It's like, reinvest in your business so that you can grow your business. And that's going to be the biggest thing when it comes to like being able to IP those numbers. Reinvesting.
And I feel like that's a huge reason that your team is growing the way it is because you're setting that expectation for them of like, hey, you guys aren't going to get rich your first year in this business.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very honest with them. And I've found some incredible people that are like, they just have a good understanding and they have a good mindset. Your team is very important in this business. As you know, you're an integrity partner. You grew this thing, and you know that culture is very, very important. Like, having those people that you're partnering with and seeing it grow up, that's very, very important. And they're all on the same page. I mean, when someone's struggling and they come to me with, like, maybe they're struggling with lead flow, like, well, let's get a budget in place so that we can see how much you actually can spend on leads, so that we can see you reinvesting each week, because that's just going to bring your numbers up. And that's what I'll do. I'll sit down with somebody and have that honest conversation. It's not time to go buy a brand new car the first month of your business. Like, I didn't do that. It's not time to do that. But if you do consistently reinvest in your business, you're going to see those numbers go up every single month.
100%. Tell us what your lead purchasing schedule looks like. Are you buying a couple leads every single day? Are you buying twice a week? What does that look like for you?
I buy leads every day. So I go in there every single morning, sometimes late at night when I'm done, take a look at the areas that I like, the states that I have almost every single state. So I run in almost every single state except for New York. So I run like the majority of the United States. So I'll go in there and look at certain counties, certain areas that I typically run, and I'm going to buy about 100, maybe 150 each day of any type of lead.
Awesome.
So and then what I'll do is I'll go back to the old ones as well. So
sweet.
I always have a consistent flow.
Are you mainly doing one call closes?
Mainly appointments. So I mainly set appointments on either Ethos leads. Ethos I really like. So Ethos are really good ones for setting appointments because they're usually working. And then one call close is going to be mostly the instance with beneficiaries for me, because it just seems to be an easier pickup rate when it comes to that one call close. Mortgage, anything I find in the ILC for the mortgage, I'll usually set an appointment for that. And then if they don't answer, which I know that can be a problem, answer ratios, I just keep blowing them up. I'll just be like, hey, John, like, it's Katelynn. We set an appointment yesterday. Couldn't get a hold of you. So moved you to 5 o'clock today. You have 10 minutes to go over this. So I just keep on blowing those people up. Having a follow-up folder is really important when you're virtual, going back to those people that didn't answer, because at one point they did set that appointment with you. I dabble in live transfers sometimes. So, when I want to, just kind of rip the phones for a little while, I'm dialing at the same time I have live transfers on. And my team does this too, which helps our volume, because they'll be dialing at the same time live transfers are on. Maybe you'll get a couple live transfer calls. If you're on the phone with a client that was just a lead, usually I'll be like, oh, like my manager's calling me right now. I'll give you a call right back. And then I hang up, pick up the live transfer, close it, call them back. And then that's how you can maximize your time, maximize your
100%.
time and prioritize it.
And
Make
I
sure that you are doing that.
I think a lot of people, I've had people tell me this, like, hey, my production slowed down because live transfers are slow. And I'm like, well, live transfers are never, ever, ever supposed to be your primary lead source. They're always going to be a secondary or your third lead source on top of making your dials every single day.
Yeah.
So
it's a supplement every single time. And even when you set appointments for yourself, even if you set an appointment the next day, you can't rely on those people to pick up the phones. Like Erica Walker is great with her videos on her virtual. She doesn't necessarily set appointments because of that purpose. She'll just say, she'll find out like what time are they going to be home. So I took that from her and I learned that like, instead of setting these appointments and like being like, okay, at 4:15, I got to call this guy. I'm like, okay, I know Mark gets off at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to put him down here around 4:30. I'm going to call him. If he doesn't answer, I'm going to call him again every day at 4:30. He's going to be on my schedule every single day because I know he has interest for it. So virtually, it's a little bit different with appointment setting. Call to close is, going to be your best bet when it comes to just getting them, okay and go. But ultimately it's activity. So whatever you can do to, consistently be active on the phones, do not use one source as your only source. You have to be consistent with every single angle.
Diversify your lead flow too. Because how many times have you and I in the early stages of you starting, like we've ran a certain lead type and then that lead type goes away. It's like, oh, this lead no longer exists. So it's good to know how to run a little bit of everything. Let's real quick, let's go through a quick one call close. We can roll play. I'll be the client.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Nina.
Hi, who's this?
Hey, Nina, this is Katelynn. I'm just giving you a quick call from the benefits office here regarding the form that you had filled out. You put down your beneficiary as Hayden. I'm the local gal that's going to get the information out to you. Could you grab a pen and paper really quick? I'm going to verify some of this info with you.
What was this about again?
Yeah, definitely. So this is about the form that you had filled out, sent back in the office. You put down Hayden as your beneficiary to go over the funeral final expense programs through Maricopa County. I'm just a local gal that's going to verify information with you, get everything that you requested out to you, and then what you do with it's up to you. So go ahead and grab that pen and paper and I'll knock it out.
Okay. All right. I have that.
Okay, Nina. So I have your first name is Nina, your last name is Hill.
Yep.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. And then I have your date of birth as 4/28/99. Is that right as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Nina, I have a good mailing address as 123 Main Street in Phoenix, Arizona. Would that be you as well?
Yeah, that's
okay,
my
great. Perfect. So Nina, I won't take up too much of your time. My job today is really to go through what's going on with you medically, financially, to pull up all the options that you may be eligible for through Maricopa County. Now, as a broker, what I do, I work with over 30 of the different state regulated carriers. So it's very unlike a State Farm or a Farmer's Insurance where I would only have one to look at for you. I'm going to take a look at all of them, pull those options up for you. And then the biggest thing we're going to do today is go ahead and submit a request for coverage over to the home office here to see what you'd even be eligible for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And then I go into the presentation with the client. Most of the things I'm asking them at the very beginning is, why she filled this out. If I get a objection of, oh, I don't really remember filling that out, well, that's perfectly fine. Most people that I talk to, Nina, do have, 1, 2, 3 policies to protect their family. Do you have any? And then they'll go into that. And then I'll ask, when they filled it out or what their purpose of who and what they're trying to protect. And if she's younger, I'm going to go into more of like, CBO 100, maybe something for her, maybe with living benefits. If she's strictly looking for final expense. I'm going to go through the financial inventory sheet the same way I would in home, figuring out what the income is, any major bills, major medical conditions, write down all of our prescriptions. And then the other thing that I like to do over the phone, because I had to learn this over the phone, because in person, you don't have to really build as much rapport, is really be talking to the client while you're doing the presentation, pulling information from them that's on the application while you're just having a conversation. Like, oh, Nina, like, how long have you lived in Maricopa County? Oh, were you born and raised here? How many kids do you have? Those types of things, because you can pull all that out, for the application while you're just having a conversation.
Katelynn, you're a freaking savage. That was so smooth. I saw someone post in here, smooth as butter. It really was smooth as butter. Your tone of voice, your confidence, your control, like that's what's needed. But you weren't like that from day one. Like I remember it literally, it's taken
Not at
a
all.
ton of presentations, practice. Like that's all it's been for you. And that's why you're now so consistent, such a killer. You absolutely crush that. Let's talk about chargebacks and client cancellations because they happen. Guys, in this industry, on average, anywhere from 20 to 30% of the business that we do right is going to fall off no matter what. It's just the way that it is. What do you do when a client calls to cancel? Or first and foremost, let's talk about cementing the sale because that's the most important thing. Like all we care about is what's kept on the books. So
Yeah.
at the end of your
So
what do you say?
what I've been doing recently, especially to push immediate draft dates, and this is a really good word track that we should all be implementing to get the coverage in place as soon as possible, is that I am getting banking information first. And that what I say to the client, I say, so Nina, the way this works is that upon approval, the coverage will be effective immediately, which means that the first draft will come out immediately. Moving forward each month, what day would you like it to draft?
Yeah.
And then they'll tell me the first or the third. Occasionally they will tell you, well, I'm not gonna have the money in the bank during that time. And then what I'll say is, okay, the max that I can do is 5 business days out. So would that be doable for you? And then if they still say no, then I say, I'm going to put a note in your file here to see if we can get this set up on your Social Security, banking, because there are times that we all deal with, just Social Security. So there's times that you're going to have to push it out a little bit, but typically that's what I'm saying. Or I just say, like most people, you would want this effective immediately, right? And then they're going to say the most people thing always helps because most people, they want to do what most people do, which would be effective immediately. Now, when it comes to client retention at the end of the sale, like obviously I'm letting them know that they're going to be drafted that first time. And if they didn't fully understand me, then I probably am going to get a phone call the next day. And I used to not answer my phone. Now I answer every single time. There's no reason not to answer the phone. You know how many policies you'll save when you answer the dang phone? It's literally like all of them, because you can reiterate why you did it. I told you, Nina, that, upon approval, congratulations, you're approved that first premium was going to come out. And, we did go through this. This was going to be the most affordable for you. This was what was going to benefit your family the most. Is there something else that you're concerned with? And then I try and figure out what's going on with them and like why they're concerned. Normally, it has to do with the fact that maybe they were just a little bit apprehensive from the first, like yesterday, they just gave all their banking information, they get charged the next day. It's like, answer your phone, be the broker that you told them that you're going to be on the phone. Yeah. I end up closing out every single call with having them save my phone number in their phone. I will walk them through that process of saving my number, because I say, I know that you probably get a lot of calls, Nina. I just want you to know that this is my personal number. This is the way you reach me. This is how your family reaches me when something happens. So I want you to save my number in your phone as Katelynn, Insurance Gal. If you need anything and you have any questions on the packet that comes in the mail, please reach out to me first so we can go over it together and know that we can make any modifications throughout your life, because things do change. And then they seem to feel like more comfortable with it. It's a learning process. So if you guys are struggling with that, then it just comes down to being confident with it and using those word tracks, because honestly, I wasn't doing that for the longest time. I was doing like, oh, when do you want it to start? Yeah. Okay, well, great. 3 weeks. No, yeah. Like that's not the way we can do this. So it's like the way this works, getting confident with it. And The more confident you are with something, the better. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And that's what this entire business, it's how you say it and how you sound. You're the professional. How would you feel if you sat with a client or you talked to them on the phone for 30 minutes, got a policy in place, pushed it out 3 weeks, and they died within that 3-week period?
And
How
it's
would you feel?
happened.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
It happens, think about that. And that's what you'll think about. And that's you having to be confident in yourself that you're doing what is best for them. And realistically, if these people don't have the money in the account tomorrow, why do we think they're going to have it every single month moving forward? So, make sure that if there is a problem with why they don't want it drafted immediately, you can go back to the price.
Yeah.
Well, is this a price thing? If $60 is too much, let's start you off at 40 because it's going to get something in place now. We can always move it.
Mhm.
So just figuring out really what they want, what they need.
I love that. And also what you said about always answering the client's calls. Like we've all been guilty of this, where client calls and you're like shaking. You're like, oh my gosh, I just wrote that 3K policy.
Yeah.
Like they're calling me to cancel. And guys, I promise you that you have like a 99.999% chance, even if they are calling to cancel, of saving that policy if you actually answer the phone. Because you told the client on the phone, like, hey, Mary, I'm your agent for life. I'm going to be the one taking care of you, no matter whether if something happens tomorrow or whether nothing happens. Like, I'm your agent for life. I'm here for you no matter what. So when they call you the next day and you don't answer your phone and you're dodging them, they completely lose trust in you. And they're like, well, if they told me I'm their agent for life or whatever, like, and they aren't answering, that's not an agent. I'm going to go call the company and cancel that policy. Where most of the time, if someone's calling to cancel, it's going to be price, it's going to be them not understanding the coverage, and it's going to be just you, staying confident like you did in the initial phone call and doing anything you can to save that policy on the books. I mean, you can decrease the coverage if you need to. Like there's so many ways to go about it. So that's great advice, Katelynn. We love that.
Yeah, we dodge the phone calls all the time because we're scared. And I did that when I first began, and it was a bad idea. Now I know, just answer the phone. I mean, most of the time they just want to know you're there for them.
Yeah. And then sometimes they're like, hey, I want to add a beneficiary. And you feel like an idiot for not answering their call.
You're like, oh my God, I thought you were going to cancel this. Like, you just want to change your draft date.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love that, Katelynn. Let's talk about agency building before we wrap this call up. Your agency is absolutely exploding. The IP numbers came out for week 1 yesterday, and your team alone protected over 300 families in week 1. Like, I feel like 2 months ago, you were doing that a month.
Yeah, we were.
Where's this explosion coming from?
I'm taking building more seriously. So, not making excuses for myself nor my leaders to not share the opportunity. So sales is very important, and everyone that joins me knows that about me, that sales is very important, getting numbers on the board, protecting families, because it's your best way of really, for me, in my experience, it was the best way for me to be able to start building my agency, because people wanted to work with somebody that was doing those high numbers and they want to know what I was doing. So I tell my agents that, of course, but sharing the opportunity consistently and being sure, the best override is on yourself, and being sure that you're able to help other people get to that spot. So I just started taking the building side a lot more seriously, where I had to develop myself to be the leader that I needed to be. And I've gone through, multiple trials and tribulations with trying to, figure out how to be the leader that I wanted to be for my people. So developing myself and getting into the habit of, being able to build a business and spending more time on mindset and podcasts and doing things that are going to grow me, and then sharing that with the people on my team that are amazing. We have grown because of them. They are always on Zoom. They're helping other people. I'm bringing people in, but I have a team that I can rely on to help with, all the resources that we need. So the culture has been incredible. Virtual has helped us a lot, and just focusing on the importance of sharing the opportunity and making sure that somebody comes in with some kind of structure so that they know what to do, because they really, really need that. They need that personal relationship. They need that connection, and having conversations before I bring them into the business as to why they're here and what their main reason why they would want something like this and what do they want out of it, you know, because then I can better help them. If I have somebody that doesn't have a strong why, if I have somebody that wants to do this like a couple hours a week, if I have somebody that, you know, isn't necessarily passionate about what we have going on here, they're most likely not going to join me because they're going to know that this isn't the right spot for them. We're growing at a fast rate because we do have people that come in with that strong why. We're grinding. We have people on the East Coast that are on Zoom until my time, 9 o'clock at night. So that means until midnight, just because they want to help. And, you know, I can say my team's amazing. Those people have been super consistent with selling and also sharing the opportunity. So I couldn't do it without them.
I love that, Katelynn. But let's like rewind to a year ago, because you now don't recruit everyone. You are very selective with the people that you're recruiting. You want those people with those strong mindsets that are going to be on Zoom, that are going to pour into this every single day. Rewind last year, you had some people on your team that complained a lot, that would cry over leads and different things. Talk about that a little bit, and why you started being more selective with the people that you now recruit.
Quality over quantity when it comes to recruiting, because you want to find people that have the same burning desire as you for more in this business. And if they don't have it, they're going to waste your time. I started to realize that my time was very valuable and it was worth a lot. And at first I didn't realize that until I realized that I'm spending an hour or two on this phone call with this person that's complaining, and I'm trying to make them happy when I could have recruited 2 more people that really want this opportunity to work for them and are not going to be complaining. And I also could have protected a family and been able to make $1,000 during that hour. So what am I doing, and why am I prioritizing my time on negative energy that really isn't doing anything for my business? So I stopped doing that. I made a conscious decision to make sure that those types of people were not going to be joining me, and they know that now. And I have that. I don't recruit on the first call. I have 2 separate calls. I do one, and then I do more of an interview afterwards. I'm asking questions, and I do ask them, like, do you think that this is something you could be successful at? Are you going to put in the time that it takes to get to the goals that you're going to write down for me? Are you willing to give up things to go up? Those questions are all very, very important. And those things weren't things I did at the very beginning. And when you first building your agency, I think that we all can relate to that feeling of just wanting people to join you. You know, you're just like, whoever, like, let's see what they can do. But this isn't for everybody, and we have to be aware of that. You know, dig deep into why they're actually doing this, because if they're going to waste your time or bring negativity into your agency, it's not going to be worth it. And you will find those gems. They're out there. I've found my gems, and you know, that was through a lot of messaging, that was through a lot of phone calls, that was through a lot of trial and error. And there won't be another person that I bring into this agency that won't work well with us. And that's because I know exactly what I'm looking for in a leader and just an agent. And I want them to win. There's no point in bringing people into the business where they can't succeed. There just isn't. It's a waste for everybody. So I just had to make that conscious decision and really like think about what I wanted at the end of the day when it came to that ideal person that was going to come into the business, and make sure that I could help them get there.
Yeah. And Katelynn, honestly, you became the agent that you want to attract into this business. You know what I mean? Like, you've developed so much as a producer, as a leader. So it all comes from the top, and you are absolutely killing it. It's obviously reflecting in your numbers, your agency numbers, and we're all extremely impressed. Before we get off this call, I want to hear these massive goals that you have for the rest of the year.
So we did 300 this first week. My goals is to be at 1 million by July. If we don't hit it in May or June, my ultimate goal is 1 million by July. And then by the end of the year, I want us to be at 2 million, meaning that both, like, a lot of my agency owners are at 500 or above. And I have no doubt in my mind that we can get there. I mean, we're grinding, we're doing the little things right every single day. If you can remember that, never get too big for the little things, because the little things are what gets you to where you want to be in this business. So remember that. Every single day counts, every single number counts, every single policy, family, recruit, everything counts. It all adds up. And at one point, you know, you're going to be able to get there.
I love that, Katelynn. Well, everyone drop a KB in the comments below. We are so happy that we were able to get you on today, Katelynn. We really appreciate you. And I know that you're absolutely going to crush that goal. So thank you for getting on.
Thank you, Nina.